in New York for the General Assembly, and for the past few years, much of the focus has been on the often flamboyant and outrageous performance of Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He would use the world gathering to question the Holocaust and make allegations of an actual U.S. role in the 9/11 attacks. Ahmadinejad is no longer in office. His successor has staked out ground as a moderate who is trying to improve his country's standing in the world. And in turn, President Obama has made it clear he's willing to take cautious steps to engage Tehran.
The United States and Iran have been isolated from one another since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. This mistrust has deep roots. I don't believe this difficult history can be overcome overnight. The suspicions run too deep. But I do believe that if we can resolve the issue of Iran's nuclear program, that can serve as a major step down a long road towards a different relationship, one based on mutual interests and mutual respect.
When I listen to him like that, I think of Obama at his best, when he's really thinking out loud, trying to figure something out and do the best for the world. Much of the buzz, by the way, leading into today was about the potential for an historic meeting between the United States and Iranian leader themselves. Didn't happen that way, no handshake. But the headline out of today's gathering is that President Obama has directed Secretary of State John Kerry to pursue engagement with Iran to resolve the nuclear issue. In other words, we're giving diplomacy a chance. The two foreign ministers are going to meet. Eugene Robinson is a columnist for the Washington Post and an MSNBC political analyst, and Michael Crowley is Time Magazine's chief foreign affairs correspondent. Gene, you first. You think big about these things, and I am so happy that there's now a chance we're going to avoid a war. A chance.
Yeah, I think the from today's performances by Obama and Rouhani, I think on balance you'd say the only losers are the writers of Saturday Night Live. They don't get to do Ahmadinejad like they did every year.
Crazy, yeah.
But you have to say it was a hopeful day because, as Churchill said, always better to jaw than to war. And in fact, there's some potential jaw about to take place.
The fact that they want to jaw, the fact that Rouhani comes in and makes it clear he wants to negotiate with the United States. He knows the terms. They all know the bottom line. They can't have a nuclear weapon. So all the other stuff is waste of time. And the only question is he trying to waste our time while they're building the nuclear weapon?
Exactly. And so then the question becomes continued enrichment, verification, inspection, control, and all the questions about a nuclear program.
Michael Crowley, I'm hopeful there could be a deal somewhere short of them having a weapon. Nobody can live with them having a weapon. I don't think, not in this country's politics. But is there a deal here, potentially?
Well, Chris, I think there is potentially a deal, but I think we're still a long way from it. So, everyone is kind of dancing around. The courtship has begun, the mating ritual here, and they're kind of the sides are circling each other. But substantively, you really haven't seen anybody change their fundamental positions. So, for instance, the Iranians, among other things, want us to stop threatening to use force. Don't put a gun on the table when you begin negotiations. Well, I don't think you're going to see Obama stop the use of force. We want to see the Iranians do something tangible like stop their enrichment program, maybe even halt work on a reactor that they're bringing online possibly next year. Are they really going to be willing to do that before sanctions are lifted? So who goes first? What are people putting on the table? That is really complicated stuff, and we haven't really seen a lot of specific progress.
Michael, you're suggesting there's ignorance. They know the terms. They can't build a weapon. We know the terms. We can't let them build a weapon. Why is there question marks? Are they going to go in that direction of not building a weapon or go in a direction or continue in the direction of building one?
Chris, it's not clear to me what they're going to choose to do, but there is this gray area where they continue to enrich uranium and they have enough. The problem that we have, that the United States has, is that they have enough uranium that if they kicked out the inspectors and they decided to make a sprint for the weapon, we might not have time to do anything about that. So American policy is to try to keep them from getting to that point. It's actually not so black and white. They're going to build a weapon or they're not. The reason why I think they have sort of the upper hand here is that they can be in this gray area where they can get close to having a weapon. Have they really crossed a line where we're going to use military force? Well, it's not totally clear. And where is the line?
That sounds like the Netanyahu line you're giving me. That is the argument that it gets. We're already near that red line. You really think it's a matter of, what, days? Let me go back to Gene. A matter of days that they go from not having a nuclear weapon to having one?
Well, what the people who I know who know a lot about the Iranian program say is that you could be a matter of weeks or a couple of months.
So that's all the time to attack.
Well, Yes, if we wanted to do it unilaterally, we didn't want to go through. You see how long the diplomacy is taking in Syria. Chris,
Yeah.
I'm not arguing here that we got to start the bombing. I'm just telling you this is what I think not only Israel, but a lot of people in Washington and the Obama administration are worried about. So that it's not that clear cut where they just say we're not going to build a bomb and it's over. The question is, does the program slow down? Is it dismantled? Do we have really thorough inspections that they can't sneak around? And so the devil's really in the details here.
Well, one detail I'd like to know, can they move towards nuclear energy and not toward a nuclear bomb?
Well, many countries have done that. You know, Japan has nuclear energy and doesn't have a nuclear weapons program. Sure, it can be done, but we trust Japan. We don't trust Iran. Iran has been belligerent, and you know, the two cases are nowhere near equivalent. But sure, it can be done. Here's something that's different now, though, or that's demonstrated now, and frankly, it's the American appetite or lack of appetite for war,
right.
and I think there is and in fact the general lack of appetite for war. I think it's conceivable that the Iranians are not only feeling the pinch of the sanctions, but are looking at Syria, what almost happened, what might happen, what is happening in Syria, and how the place is being torn.
But you and I have a general feeling for Obama of support, but we can't predict Obama. He's sort of dangerous in a way. He might go and say, all right, I got to go against Iran.
No, at a certain point, clearly he would. If it reaches that tipping point.
Yeah, I think he's quite ready to bomb them if they go for weapons.
This is a moment. I think it's a moment, and I don't, the possibility could evaporate.
I wouldn't bet against him if I was pushed. I wouldn't push the guy. Anyway, thank you, Gene Robinson. I think that's where it's at. Don't push Obama on this stuff. Michael Crowley, thank you, sir.
Thanks.